Okay, so last week sometime I had posted a video about depression, and it was something like 3 strategies to help cope with depression. And tonight I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of having something planned and, you know, 3 or 5 strategies that you can use to cope with depression, I'm just going to kind of freely speak about it. Just share from the heart my current thoughts about depression. And I hope that this video finds somebody that is either currently struggling with depression, maybe has in the past. Maybe you know somebody who's struggling with depression, mild depression, moderate, severe, debilitating depression. My hope is that this person gets something out of this. Maybe as little as just walks away from this video feeling a little bit better. Or maybe they decide they're going to take some action that they weren't previously going to take. Maybe their view on depression or their view on themselves, there's a shift in that. Or maybe it inspires somebody to go get professional help. Maybe it changes the way that this person talks with maybe a loved one who might be struggling with depression. Maybe it inspires a parent to go reach out to a child who they think might be struggling. Whatever it is, I hope it helps. So I want to define a couple things and preface a few things. Number one, these are just my thoughts. Just because I'm a therapist does not mean that I know anything about depression. We all struggle with depressed mood, at least at a minimum. I've never struggled with severe, debilitating, major depressive disorder. I've never struggled with that. But even if I had, I still wouldn't know how you or somebody who's really struggling feels, because depression, everybody's depression is different. Everybody's depression manifests differently. It shows up differently. Everybody's is caused for different reasons. Sometimes depression's caused by just dissatisfaction in life. Maybe it's situational depression. Some things have gone wrong and somebody's feeling depressed or experiencing loss. Maybe it's not enough sunlight. It could be all these things and many more. So I want you to see this as, this isn't a black and white thing. Everybody's is different. The causes, the symptoms, all of that. So I do also want to define depression, at least for this conversation. This isn't necessarily a clinical definition. What I'm talking about when I'm going to actually use the word depressed mood. So I think we all know what depressed mood is. Depressed mood could be something that lasts literally a couple of minutes. Depression, we might say, is something that is a little bit more long-term. So like the clinical definition, like the main characteristic of major depressive disorder is that one experiences a depressed mood most of the day, nearly every day, for at least 2 weeks. So that has to be present in order to get a diagnosis of major depressive disorder. So when I say depression, I think what I'm going to mean by that is a prolonged feeling of depressed mood. So there's all sorts of different things that you can do when you experience a depressed mood. And I talked about them in the video the other day. And if you just do a Google search for how to deal with depression, you'll get all sorts of different strategies. And these strategies are good. You heard me, if you watched the video the other day, you heard me say one of my favorite sayings is action is the antidote to depression. And I believe that. I do believe that if you get active, you probably are going to feel better. That depressed mood that you're experiencing is probably going to improve. What else can you do? You can talk to people. My gosh, there probably isn't a better thing that you can do is go talk to somebody. That's why they say get professional help. Go see a therapist. Talk to a therapist. Oftentimes in therapy, the best intervention is for that therapist to just sit with you, just be there, and just allow you to talk and share what's going on in your head, in your heart, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, what you're thinking, all of this stuff. So yeah, go talk to people. Find a therapist or a coach or a professional or a friend or a parent or a sibling or anybody that you feel comfortable with. What else? I mentioned in the video the other day, finding purpose, finding what your meaning is in life, what brings you meaning and what you're here for. A lot of us are not living out our true purpose in life. And that can be something that if you can figure that out, it can help with this depressed mood. What else? Medication, sure. Medication helps. Sunlight helps sometimes. Just getting going. The other day I saw a video by this guy named Grant Cardone. You maybe heard of him. I think he's really popular. I think he's wildly successful. I don't know a lot about him. He keeps showing up in my news feed, but he gave 3 tips the other day for how he deals with depression. And I liked the video because, here's this wildly successful guy, and I think he said he's like the number 1 or number 2 public speaker. I mean, however the heck you measure that, I don't know. But some of the videos I see him in, he's in a private jet. And the guy appears to have it all. But he said he gets depressed all the time. I shouldn't say that. I don't know if he said all the time, but he said he often wakes up and just not feeling it. So he gave some good advice. And in fact, when he did that, I thought about that. I thought, God, those are 3 good things. I'm not even going to share them with you right now, but I felt like he was missing one. And that's really what I want to talk about tonight. So, again, what I'm talking about could apply to anybody, whether it's you just woke up tomorrow feeling down, so you just are experiencing a depressed mood for a little bit of your day, or you've been down for 2 years or more. I think that this thing I'm going to talk about applies to everybody. So, what is it? Am I ready to share it? Or do I want to keep rambling on about other stuff? Yeah, I think I'm going to jump into it. So, one of the things that we do when we experience depression, or when we know somebody who's experiencing depression, we automatically think that something's wrong. And if it's situational depression, it's pretty clear. Yeah, I just got my partner or my boyfriend or girlfriend just broke up with me yesterday. Yes, I'm depressed. It's very evident and clear why you're feeling depressed. But so often, there isn't a reason. There's nothing that you can pinpoint and say, this is why I'm feeling this way. And I think that's what we really call depression. Like, I suffer from depression. So we think there's something wrong. And just by taking that stance that something's wrong, we're already disempowered. We already potentially feel less than. Maybe we feel shame. Maybe we feel inferior. We start comparing ourselves to others that aren't depressed. Why does there have to be something wrong? A depressed mood is just a negative emotion. Negative emotions are not fun. Nobody likes them. Very few people, anyways. So we are supposed to experience negative emotions. Now, don't hear me wrong. I'm not saying we're supposed to be laying in bed severely depressed for 2 years. That is not what we're supposed to experience. But we are supposed to experience negative emotions, including depressed mood with no reason. Why? I don't know. I don't know why we're supposed to do that. I don't know why it happens, but it does. And I know this because there's just too darn many people that experience it for it not to be normal. So the first thing that we have to do is just accept it. Just accept that you feel like shit today, or that you felt like shit all week. It's okay. It's not something that has to be fixed. We're problem solvers. That's what humans do. We solve problems. And we think when we experience a negative emotion that there's a problem that needs to be solved. So we go do these different things to try to solve it. We go get help and we share with our partner, or with our parents, or with somebody that we're depressed. And what does that person do? They think they need to help. They think they need to help provide solutions. Now, obviously there's solutions, but why? Why do we have to have solutions? Who says we have to solve it? I mean, how many times have you experienced depressed mood and you didn't take any action? You didn't do any of the strategies that everybody tries to tell you to do, including your therapist. And the depressed mood went away. Why did it go away? You didn't do anything to get rid of it. Sometimes it just goes away. No, not sometimes. It always goes away. It always goes away. Now, if you've been struggling for 2 years solid, number one, there's something else going on. Like I'm not saying there's something else. Like that's still depression, but like you should not have to suffer like that. So acceptance. As soon as we don't accept it, as soon as we think there's something wrong, as soon as we think we need to fix it, we're automatically giving up power. Unless you can find a solution that works right away. But if you can't, that just leaves you more hopeless. And hopelessness is a symptom of depression. Hopeless is like, I feel like shit, and I don't ever think I'm going to feel any better. That's hopeless. And so, yeah, if you're feeling depressed and you think you got to fix it and you can't, that's hopeless. So, accept it. How do you do that? Well, it's something you do mindfully. It's almost like you have a conversation in your head or out loud. It'd be great if you could talk to somebody about this. And just accept, just say it. It's okay that I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling this way for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, and I may or may not find out what that reason is. But I don't necessarily need to know. But this will pass. It always does. And so what I'm going to do is, number one, I'm not going to make it worse. I'm not going to create a problem out of it that needs to be solved. Number two, I'm going to practice good self-care, whatever that is. I'm going to take care of myself. And then, if I'm ready, when I'm ready, if I'm ready, both, I might take some action that I think might make me feel better. I might get up and go for a walk, even just around the block. Or I might reach out and call my mom. Or I might go down and play basketball at the YMCA, whatever it is that we like to do. Again, the problem, one of the biggest struggles with depression is that the things we know we need to do, which are the things we enjoy doing, that's what makes us feel better, doing the things that we enjoy, we don't want to do them. One of the other symptoms of depression is a loss of interest. A loss of interest in things that normally are pleasurable. So that's what makes it so hard. That's one of the things that makes it so hard. Something I just thought of, if you go and talk to somebody, it could be a therapist, but it just could be a friend or whoever it is that you go to, more than likely, they're going to try to fix you. They're going to try to help. They're going to give you suggestions, ideas. Oh, when I feel that way, here's what I do. If you notice that, if you like that, if that's working for you, go for it. Fine. Let them go on. But if it's not, just very gently say to them, that's not what I need right now. I just need you to be here with me. Now, if you're the person who somebody's coming to, or you're the person who maybe thinks like your kid's depressed, or your spouse is depressed, or your parents are depressed, and you're going to go initiate a conversation with them, remember this. They don't need you to fix them. Nothing you say is anything they haven't already heard, more than likely. Unless they're, if it's your kid, maybe they've never experienced it before. What they need is they need you to be present. They need you to validate them and understand. Not understand, like you can't understand. They need you to just be with them, be present with them, and let them know that what they're feeling is okay. It's okay. And that's all they need. As a therapist, I know this. Yet every single person that walks in my office, I almost immediately want to jump to problem solving. I'm just scanning and asking questions and trying to figure out so I can figure out exactly what this person needs. It's just natural. It's natural to do that. And when I'm at my best, I don't do it. I let those thoughts go in my head and I don't take action on them. And I just sit and just be present. People do not need to be told, it's going to be okay, you're going to get better. They don't need that. But for whatever reason, I think we get uncomfortable when we see people in pain, and we just trying to do our best, trying to help them out. It's not what they need. Okay. So I want to try to give you a little bit of practical application of this. So here's something that I do, and I'm not saying that this is something that you should necessarily do unless it speaks to you. If you think that this would work, then do it, because I think for me, it's fantastic. So by the way, I use this strategy with any negative emotion, any of them, but it works really good with depressed mood. So you wake up, you're feeling down, you don't know why, you don't want to get out of bed, you certainly don't want to get up and go to work or do whatever it is that you have to do. For this case, let's just say it's a Saturday. You don't have to work. So you have the ability to just lay in bed if that's what you want to do. Or maybe you don't have a job, so every day is Saturday. So you notice that you're feeling down. And the first thing you do is you have that mindful conversation and you say, okay, I'm feeling down and it's okay. I accept this feeling and I don't need to fix it. And then I'll take a moment and I'll just breathe and I'll try to identify not why am I feeling this way, but where am I feeling it? Where am I feeling it in my body? Am I feeling it in my stomach, in my chest? Now, some people, and me included, are just not really in tune with the sensations that some other people are. So keep that in mind if this is not something that works for you. So identify where it's at in your body. Get really present. And then just breathe into that part of your body, if that makes sense. Just breathe into it. It's a little exercise called expansion. Very effective. Okay. Once I've done that, I might take a little bit of time to do just a little bit of problem solving and just see, like, okay, what's going on here? Is there a reason for this or not? And I know that flies in the face of everything I've been saying, but it's what the mind wants to do. We're problem solvers. And once I realize that now there's nothing, or maybe there is. Maybe I know that, yesterday me and Kristen got into an argument. We haven't resolved it, and that's what it is. Okay, well, if that's the case, now I kind of have some direction, right? I kind of know what I need to do. But if that's not the case, where I don't have anything that comes to mind that, might be causing this, then I'm going to make a deal with myself. And here's what the deal looks like. I'm going to give myself some time to just sit and wallow in my pain. I am going to give myself complete permission to do this. Even though they say you shouldn't do this, right? I'm giving myself complete permission. But there's a deal. I'm setting a timer, not literally. I will not allow myself to sit there for the rest of the day. Or maybe I would. It depends on how bad I might be feeling. But if this is just kind of a, you woke up, you weren't feeling depressed yesterday, and today you are, give yourself some time. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe it's 10. Maybe it's a half hour, an hour. Could be more. I guess you could do, a day. You could say, I'm going to take a mental health day. And give yourself time to just sit in the pain without doing anything. And just be in it. If that means crying, if that means being angry, whatever it is that your mind wants to do, You just allow yourself to do it. But once that timer goes off, and it's not literally a timer, but like I'm going to push myself to like, I want to take the whole day off. No, I'm going to give myself an hour. I'm going to let myself just be for an hour. And then I'm going to take some action. This doesn't mean that all of a sudden, I'm going to go and run 5 miles and journal and write down my goals and reach out to 5 people. It doesn't mean I'm going to take all this action, but I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something more than what I want to do. And that's the deal that I made with myself. I'll allow myself to sit and wallow on the condition that I take whatever this action is. And then you go and you do that. You take that action. So it's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, is really just to sum it up. It's just acceptance. If you don't accept it, what are you doing? You're rejecting it. And if you reject it, you're just causing more suffering. There's nothing wrong with you. I'll tell you what's wrong with you. The only thing that's wrong with you is that you're a human being. You suffer from the human condition that we all suffer from. You are living in a very messed up world. It's also a very awesome, joyful world. But it's very painful. You're living with people that are hurting. And as a result of hurting inside, they're hurting you and others. And you're hurting and hurting others and feeling shameful about it. Life is pain. To be a human being means you will suffer. You will experience pain. Nobody's happy all the time. Everybody experiences depressed mood. Maybe not necessarily on the level that you might be experiencing it, but everybody experiences it, and you're supposed to. What we want to do is we want to cherish the times that we're in joy. Unfortunately, what we do is when we're experiencing joy, we just kind of, take it for granted. We just like, life is easy when things are good. So we just naturally just kind of live. And then when shit hits the fan, emotionally, we blow it up. We make it a big deal. We catastrophize it. We make it mean something. Why didn't we make it mean something when we were experiencing all that joy and happiness? So, life is pain. It's okay. You're suffering from the human condition. Nothing's wrong with you. Or you could say a lot is wrong with you, but hey, a lot is wrong with all of us. It's not just you. We're all messed up. But that's okay. We don't have to make that mean anything. And you don't have to believe that. That's what I believe, but it doesn't mean it's right. Life is tough. Life is joy and bliss. And we're only here for a short amount of time. So we might as well make the best of all of it, not just the best of the good moments. We gotta try to make the best of all the moments. Because what other choice do we have? Depression is not your fault. Of course it's not. There's nothing wrong with it. Depression is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. All of your emotions are your responsibility. You don't have to agree with that. You don't have to make them your responsibility. You can be victim to them if you want, but you don't have any power then. The only way you can do something, see, here I am trying to solve the problem of negative emotions again. It's kind of the human condition, right? The only way that you can improve is if you become cause in the matter. You take responsibility. It's nobody else's fault. Yes, you've had lots of circumstances. You've had a lot of people do you wrong. The world's been cruel to you, of course. But who's going to do something about it? The world's not. Nobody else is. Well, the people try, but they can't. You're the only one that can. I'm going to say one more thing, and that is, if you can, at all costs, do not let depression define you. Do not become the depression. It is so easy to fall into that trap, though. And it is so easy for me, somebody who's not experienced debilitating depression, to say this. I'm very aware of that. It's so easy when you experience depression on a daily basis, week after week after week, month after month, and year after year, to become identified with it. I am depression. Try really hard to avoid that. You are not depression. You are experiencing depression. When you become identified with it, it becomes who you are. And it doesn't need to be. And you might not like that. You might not like what I just said. And if you don't, that's okay. But think about it. Don't identify with it. So that's what I got for now. 32 minutes later. Hope it was worth it. Have a good night.